everyone. It's Natalie and Steve from Dark Art Astronomy, and I'm so excited. Today, we are at the National Sculpture Center in Dallas.
And today's topic is whether ZWO complies with U.S. copyright law and GPL license agreements.
Spoiler alert. We already know they're not.
Wait, first we have to do a thorough and complete analysis of U.S. copyright law, the GPL license agreements, and the ASIR code.
That'll keep everyone's attention? Not? All right, everybody, come with me. We're gonna go see the Gormley exhibit. Let's get started.
Wait!
Right now.
No! Okay, wait for me. Today is part one of a two-part series called Just Say No to ZWO. Now today we're not talking about the evidence of copyright infringement. That'll be in part two, and we have plenty of it because I hired an expert witness to analyze their code, and I have the response, and it doesn't look good for them. But that's for part two. Today I want to talk to you about why this is important to you, and it's also important to the companies like Gina Astro and High Point Scientific, because anybody who sells that software, and every time a user boots it up, you're distributing that protected software code. So if ZWO is infringing based on this evidence, so are you. Now, I'm not saying that the end user or the High Point Scientifics of the world are the bad actors here. No, they're not. It's ZWO, and we're asking that ZWO come clean and comply with U.S. copyright law. So let's begin with what copyright law protects. It protects original works of authorship. Sculptures like these here at the Nasher Sculpture Center, paintings at museums, music, films, and yes, even software code. In the United States, that protection comes from Title 17 of the U.S. Code. Software isn't treated any differently under the code. Most software code is protected expression, and potential infringers include the people who manufacture, sell, and use the infringing code.
But before we go further, it's important to know Stephen's credentials. He practiced intellectual property law since 1988 and represented many businesses and individuals in patent and copyright disputes over the last 38 years. That includes representing Texas Instruments in patent litigation against Japanese and Korean semiconductor manufacturers, Phillips Petroleum in international patent disputes, MGE UPS Systems in more than 20 copyright infringement actions involving enterprise software, and was part of the team who represented the Eagles founder Don Henley in a right of attribution case. This is an area of law that Stephen has been deeply entrenched in for decades.
Thank you, Natalie. A lot of people think that open source means free to do whatever you want. That's totally wrong. Open source licenses are libraries, which can include software code for astronomy and other science endeavors. The GPL and LGPL libraries are examples of libraries that include open source copyright code, and they provide copyright licenses to use that code. They allowed use and modification, but only if the rules are followed. So I have on my computer screen the GNU General Public License. And if we go to section 5C, it clearly states that you may convey a work based on the program, that's code in the library, or the modifications to produce it from the program in the form of source code, provided that you meet all of these other conditions. And then it goes on and identifies all of those conditions. And C specifically says You must license the entire work that you create as a whole under this license to anyone who comes into possession of a copy. That's a very important provision because it basically says if you're selling this, you have to give that code to that person because they now have a copy. It specifically says this license gives no permission to license the work in any other way, but it does not invalidate such permission if you have separately received it. But that's not the situation we have here. Now, let's go to Section 6 and discuss that. So if we go to Section 6, what we have here is the conveyance of non-source forms, and it indicates that you may convey a covered work provided that you also convey the machine-readable corresponding source under the terms of this license in one of the following ways. This is also a meaty provision because it says if you're going to use the code from the library, you have to convey a machine-readable corresponding source for your code. So they're giving you free code. And if you're incorporating it, guess what? You have to make your code free by conveying that code under Section 6. But wait, there's more. Let's go to Section 10. Section 10 specifically says automatic licensing of downstream recipients. So that would be the Agena Astros of the world and the astrophotographers of the world, the downstream recipients. And basically it says you, the company like ZWO, may not impose further restrictions on the exercise of the rights granted or affirmed under this license. For example, you may not impose a fee, royalty, or other charge for exercise of rights under this license, and you may not initiate litigation alleging that there's any patent or other copyright infringement claims. So basically it says the end users are supposed to get a license to that for free. They shouldn't be charging for that. And this is where ZWO is going to get in trouble, as we'll see later on. And the most important rule is this: if you distribute modified GPL licensed software, you must also distribute the complete corresponding source code that you create for those modifications.
If you don't, the license terminates automatically, and continued distribution becomes copyright infringement.
Under 17 U.S.C. Section 106, the copyright owner has the exclusive right to reproduce and distribute copies of the work. And 17 U.S.C. Section 501A states, anyone who violates any of the exclusive rights of the copyright owner is an infringer. And that language is intentionally broad.
So, in other words, it's not just the manufacturer.
Correct. If software is being distributed without a valid license, then under a strict reading of the law, retailers, including companies like Agena Astro, High Point Scientific, and others, who are distributing and selling that product, they are distributing infringing copies, and therefore they're considered infringers. And so are the end users, because every time the users boot the box, they're reproducing the code. So in saying that, however, I want to be clear that I'm not saying that the retailers and the users are the bad actors here. It's the manufacturer, and what I'm saying is copyright infringement does not end at the factory door. Now let me give you an example of someone doing it correctly. NINA, for example, is also using source code from the GPL library. And if we look at the NINA homepage, you can see that they allow you to access their source code. They are using GPL licenses, they are providing their source code, and therefore they are in compliance with GPL terms. They're doing it correctly.
In summary, people engaging in the hobby of astrophotography should be informed that if ZWO is infringing U.S. copyright law, so are they, every time they boot up the ASI Air.
And it covers not just the little red box, but also the new cameras that incorporate ASI Air technology. This is why we are asking the president and CEO of ZWO to reconsider his company's position on complying and respecting United States copyright law. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. In part 2, we will present the evidence explaining why ZWO appears to be infringing U.S. copyright law and why this matters to the astronomy and open source communities.
If you care about transparency, open source, or accountability, you'll want to see it.
Thanks for watching Dark Art Astronomy, and we'll see you in part 2.
Like and subscribe, and leave us a comment if you agree that ZWO should reconsider its business practice.
Clear skies!